You know, the thing we take away from this is one undoubted experience. You know, you have to get experience sometime, and we took experience away from this. We haven't been in a tightly, you can't simulate that in practice. Pressure situations. We didn't have any of these in Italy. We haven't had any of these yet this year. Where it's come down possession by possession, and you can just feel the pressure in the gym, and you can cut it. That's college basketball, and we haven't been in that this year. Cully hasn't been in there in the pressure situation 2 years like that. Kiki, I just pulled Kiki aside. I said, Kiki, there's a reason why I had you in there at the end, because you're going to play a lot of minutes for the future. You have to get experience, and that's why I wanted Kiki in there. And I was proud of him because it's very tough as a player to go in there in a pressure, miss your first one, and he bounced back and made the second one. That second one's hard when you miss that first one, and he did it every time. Obviously, I'd like to see him make the first, but we definitely take away experience from this game in a pressure situation, and we needed that. We need that because there are going to be a lot of those. And now next time we can draw from, hey, we learn from our mistakes. You know, obviously there were a lot of mistakes. Learn from those, and but you got to get experience, and that was what I take from this. And I got to give a lot of credit to Tennessee Tech. They're very hard to guard. They're quick. They got a lot of guys that can shoot her. They can really drive it, and they're one of the harder teams we've guarded. There's a reason why they've gone to postseason 2 years in a row.
Coach, you had 9 players for it, and you've gotten a lot of contributions from just about everything in your team, especially coming off the side of the ball, which is something you didn't have last year. Can you talk about how you got more?
Yeah, well, right now we had 9 available players, not 9 available scholarship players, and all 9 made a positive play. You know, the first 4 guys off the bench are freshmen, and I look at those guys, and I look at Turk, O'Leary, Jeff, Kiki, and Nick. You know, it's 19 points off the bench. I mean, gosh, we didn't have that. You got 19 points off the bench from those guys, and you know, I thought the key for us to get better is what's happening. And started the second half of the Maryland Eastern Shore game in Florida, where Cully took over and he made 2 big baskets in a crunch time. And you can see his confidence mounting. In the second half against Northern, when it got kind of tight, he had 10 points. Today, you can just see his confidence building, and the fact that, hey, I've been here before. You know, Cully, sitting out 2 years is harder than anybody. And for him to, you can just see him get his confidence, his swag back, going, you know, I've been here before. You know, I'm not a rookie anymore. And he felt, he had a little bit of rookie, in him the first couple games, which is expected. It's 2 years sitting out. So it's good to get him to where he really, he made some big baskets for us, and we needed that from him.
Any other questions?
Coach, after the Western game at USF, what did you do to sort of turn the pace of the team around, specifically at Eastern Shore, and manifest it tonight against a team that was similar on paper?
Well, Western, I look at Western, it was a different kind of a team than Tennessee Tech. We looked at the tape. We played pretty darn good defense, even though we gave up 80 points. We ran into a team that, Nate Hutchinson had a career, and he was really good. He was banking in threes. He had 6 for 8 from 3. We ran into a really good performance. A kid had 30 on us, and he single-handedly almost got us. But we've been going in and hitting these lulls at the end of somewhere in the middle of the first half. And I know we're rotating in a lot of freshmen once those rotations come in. I feel that we're getting better. We stayed away from the long offensive lull tonight. I got to look at the tape defensively. They're just really hard to guard. That one point guard one time went all the way around the basket, all the way around, and then he found a kid. He's just, you don't see a point guard do that very often. He's just very low to the ground, hard to guard.
He had your kids chasing too.
He did. He had a chase, and then Ben rotated uphill, and then he had the ball all the way to right at the end until Ben made a mistake. He rotated uphill, and then he dropped it downhill. And he's a crafty kid. He's a kid he's a transfer from SMU, and he's a crafty kid.
Before I just going to ask you one thing, when we were talking about Cully, that sequence there, we got the steal, outletted to Jordan, and then he got the two swing baskets.
The what?
We got the 2 baskets after.
Yeah.
That was a critical point. They'd gotten done before, and then we stood On the other hand, that's the kind of thing you were looking for in him while he's here, that kind of leadership.
And exactly, that leadership at the point. I think everybody had a comfort level that Cully was in there. You know, that always wasn't happening down the stretch last year. There was kind of, everyone was on pins and needles when the ball was out front. I think people had a comfort level when the ball was in his hands out there. And you know, he did. He made, you want your leaders, your best players to make plays down the stretch. And that's what you want from your key players. And he did. He made some key plays down the stretch. And, you know, you can just see his confidence building. Now, I almost, you know, lost my voice on him at halftime. His defense was horrific in the first half. But he played much better in the second half, much better. He gave that kid too much space. And maybe I don't know, I got to look back on what he was thinking on him, but he gave the kid a lot of space, and the kid just came off. He had 11 points just like that. I mean, he had 13 at the half, I think, or 14 at the half. And in the second half, so I think he had 13 at half, and he had 15 for the game. So I think Cully got the message. I think him and Kiki did a much better job in the second half on that kid than he did the first half. We were just giving him too much space. The adjustment we made on that kid is we just said, make him you got to make him, you can't give him space. You got to make him put his head down, and when he puts his head down, he's a different player.
And also, he's defensive side.
Yeah, I love Jordan's, you know, I just said that in the radio, that it's a sign of maturity with Jordan. He's had a couple tough games in a row, and in the past, last year, I found that, you know, sometimes he plays backwards. And as a coach, you always teach your guys, don't play backwards. You know, and I think Jordan sometimes was victim of that. And man, he absolutely has grown up, because he had a tough outing against Northern. And he came, from the moment he got on the court, he had a confident bounce, knocking down some shots. And that's maturity, that you're not playing backwards. You're not pouting, you're not feeling, you know, hanging your lip. And Jordan Hicks, it was one of the best statements of him growing up and that I've seen, because he really got us out of the gates quickly tonight.
To follow up on that question, maybe probably the first game where we saw Ben, Cully, and Jordan all put up over 15 points today.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so how essential is that to have that happen throughout the season?
Well, I mean, we're missing some, you know, obviously, when you can get some guys scoring and getting, you know, we're taking that from it too, where they can have their confidence scoring. We've been playing really good defense. I mean, really good defense. Tonight, obviously, having Tennessee Tech shoot 50% is not what you want. I mean, but in the long run, for us to get a couple guys offensively going is going to be better. I know where we're going to guard. I know where we're going to guard. I mean, and offensively, that was big for us to get a couple guys making some shots. Nick Osborne made a nice shot. He came in and made a nice little 10-footer from the baseline, made a nice roll, and Kiki made a nice play in the first half. It was a freshman to freshman in the first half. Kiki made a little screen and roll, and it was good to see that. So, you know, Turk came in, and Turk's just got to get experience. He comes in so locked and loaded. He wants to shoot it because he's got such a good shot, and then he let it come to him in the second half, and he stepped into that and hit a nice three. But we need guys confidently knowing that they can step up and make shots.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
I think it's pressure. I think that I mean, I'm surprised that guys misshot those free throws tonight. Usually they're really good and they're really confident with it, but in practice we do a lot of things that simulate that pressure, that you got to make it or something happens. So I think we missed a couple, but at the end of the day, we got a big win. And even though we missed, we still defended. I think that's the biggest thing to come out of it.
Can you talk a little bit too about when the lead was shrinking there? I think it got down to about 4. There was a piece, you made a steal, and then it was a missed shot. They were driving. You got a steal in there and outlet it to Jordan. I think that was your first points of the season. But right in there, that seemed like a key play there. Can you talk about that? And did you guys feel maybe the momentum was back your way?
Definitely. I think they're definitely on a run, and I think that we talk about all the time is the 50-50 balls. I mean, I didn't have to dive on it, but my coach is big on us diving on it, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on it, and Higgs got the outlet or CT, and we just made a great play as a team.
Switch? Did they just different flow of game?
No, I don't know. I just wanted to. I don't know. I feel like I try to focus more on defense. You know, and guarding number 25 and not letting him, you know, get them back in the game because he's a great player. He's a leading scorer one of the leading scorers in the country, and so you know I try to focus on that. And you know, the other guys took care of the offensive side. These two, and you know, I'm fine with that.
Can you just kind of talk about what a win like this does for you guys when it seems like it's a big lead all of a sudden it shrinks?
Well, it just gives us experience. I mean, that's something that we have to take away from it. Again, we really didn't execute down the stretch. Just looking back quickly, there were a number of plays that we just didn't make. I had a turnover. A couple other guys had turnovers that really they weren't very good basketball plays, and that's something. I mean, obviously we have to clean up. It's always a lot better to clean something up like that after a win, though.
Kelly, can I ask you about playing with Kiki? You guys were on the court today. A lot of times he's been playing behind you. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like playing at the same time?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I think Kiki off the court, the best kid. On the court, the best kid. I've been able to kind of mentor him. I feel like he's always asking questions. I think he's great. And so when we're on the court together, it kind of lets me get off the ball because he handles it and he just does everything that we ask of him. So, I mean, I'm totally comfortable with it. I know these guys are comfortable with a freshman like that. That's not an easy situation, especially tonight. And he came in and played some big minutes for us.
Jordan, last year you guys didn't quite play at this type of pace, scoring over 80 points in a game. Do you feel like this year you can do that more consistently? I mean, is this maybe not this exact type of score, but can you play in the 70s more often this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can with a lot of the guys we brought in, a lot of the younger guys like Kiki, can really push the ball, and Cully can push the ball. And so, it helps when we got point guards that can play at that pace. And then I feel like it, helps the wings like myself and the bigs. We gotta get down the court because they're gonna find us if we sprint down there and go hard. So I feel like it's a type of pace that we can play with.
Yeah, I think anytime you're running two point guards, it helps too, because then you got two guys that you can find on an outlet, two guys that can make good decisions getting the ball down the court, and I think that helps a lot.
Anything else, guys?
You touched on it a little bit earlier. Jet Dillon, 25, Tennessee you played against. You cut his points in half of his average. Can you talk a little bit about that? From the
day one of the scouting report, coach talked about all eyes on 25, and that was the key. That was one of the keys to to beating these guys, because he's one of the top scorers in the country. And so me and I have to give credit to Joe Chrisman too. Coach split us off on him, and I feel like we just take pride in playing defense and cutting a player like that in half on his points.
Those two guys were the biggest winning of the whole game. I think me and Ben can attest to that. Yeah. Without Jordan and Joe, we don't win that game. They're the biggest impact to that game.